Welcome to It Was All a Dream with me, Daniel Ewing. I have a very special guest today, man. I'm excited to talk to uh, my little bro. He's like a little brother to me, man. I've grown to learn more about his story and his testimony over the past couple of months. To be honest, he's been sharing his story. He has a lot of great things going on, and his story is very impactful and powerful, man. Help me welcome to the show, Brandon Johnson.
What's up, baby? What's going down, baby?
What's up, bro? How you been, man?
Man, same old, man. Grinding, man. Just going through this pandemic right now, man. Trying to stay as balanced as I can through it all, man.
Talk a little bit about that, man. How have you been during the pandemic?
It's actually with my situation, man. I have a newborn, and so the last 8 months, man, I kind of took a break from some things and just kind of been raising my son. And with everything I got going on, man, the pandemic actually helped me in a sense because it brought everyone to a stop and it allowed me to basically get back out in the world. I was with my son every day from probably about 6 p.m. that night. Before I can really get my day started. So once that happened, my wife was able to come home and work from home and things like that, and obviously everyone else. And it allowed me to get back to training and things like that, rebuild my body, and just work on some things, paperwork and things like that, man. With everything being shut down to a certain extent, it gave me kind of opportunity to catch up with everyone that the last couple months I've missed, man. So at the same time, reading the news, I can see the negatives that has happened with the pandemic. But for me personally, I took this time, man, to really rebuild a lot of things, paperwork, anything I missed out on. I was able to focus. I took advantage of reading more, just building that foundation, man. And I looked at it as a positive. That's kind of how my insight been always. And I pray for the families that has been impacted by it. But for me, the pandemic was definitely secretly a positive, man.
No, man, like I said, that's a blessing, man, because it has been for some people, for some families, for some individuals, it has been a big struggle, man. It has been a huge burden for a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
And like I'm like you, like myself, like yourself. I've been trying to just find ways to be better. You know what I'm saying? During
Yeah.
this time, we got a lot of time. We've had a lot of time on our hands to figure things out. What's next? How can I improve this part of my life? You know what I'm saying? So,
And we getting older, man. So,
right.
if you playing basketball and me, and anybody that's playing sports, man, we never get just kind of off season. Even when we saying we off, we still working. So the fact that we was kind of forced because everything was shut down and some of us, like I say, got newborns, we had to be a little more strategic. And with that being said, it gave us time to rest, even with the NBA and those guys coming back, man, at this moment. This is our first time being forced to not be able to do something because I know in my head, man, I'm not stopping. So
Right.
financially, I'm thankful that I wasn't affected to that extent. I know a lot of people jobs and things like that. So for those who was affected, man, my prayers go out to you. But that was the biggest thing for me, man, just kind of being thankful and like you said, getting better.
Right, man. And you said you just had a newborn.
Yeah,
Congratulations, man. Blessings to you.
appreciate it,
Man, that's
it's a long day.
what, man. I don't miss them days at all,
How
bro.
many you got right now, dude?
I'm two and done, man.
Do it,
Two
done.
and done. Two and
Oh
done.
man, get to your number, baby. Get to
Yeah.
your special number, baby.
I'm two and done, man. Like it's
Uh,
at this point, man, we actually wouldn't mind having a third child, but like I said, we're older now. Our kids are much older. Like it would kind of be
yeah, the gap,
the gap. And that's kind of how me and my brothers are. So I wouldn't want to do that to
yeah, yeah,
another child for myself. So,
right.
but BJ, man. So for the people who don't know who you are, who's never heard of you, who don't know your story and testimony, because that's what it is. Really,
Yeah,
it's your story, but it's really a powerful testimony, man. What you've been through, what you've overcome, and what you are now, and what you're doing, where you headed. Uh, just talk a little bit about your upbringing, man. Just
yeah.
kind of where you come from, how things were for you growing up, the dreams or aspirations stuff you had as a kid.
Yeah. Man, it's actually good timing because I've been working a lot on some projects. So the information I'm gonna give now, man, is a little more in depth. I've went into more detail on where I was born and raised and things like that. So I grew up. I was born over there on Fundren Court, man, on Fundren, in Fundren Glen. I was young, and then we moved to the north side of Houston. I tell people I'm from the north side of Houston because that's mostly what I remember. You know, so I grew up in Inwood, not far from Antoine. From there, man, I had three brothers that I knew about from my mom's. We grew up in a situation where I was exposed to a lot. My mom's situation was definitely a journey. She had a crazy experience also where she had to fend for herself. And obviously, man, I found out the older I got, the product of your environment, you know. So my mom dealt with a lot of different situations that exposed us to many things that a lot of black kids grow up in, being drugs, gambling, sex, anything like that. Man, we was exposed to it. We got a lot of different experiences through that process. Man, my mom's decisions kind of led to me meeting my father. My father was in and out of my life, and my mom's situation, what she was doing behind the scenes, led to her being basically incarcerated for a decent amount of time, which me and my brothers went separate ways. Me and my brother Michael, which we went to my dad, and from there, man, the things that my mom had showed us, my dad was completely opposite. He had more of morals, values, and things like that, where it instilled us and gave us a little bit different foundation. You know, my mom, I'm writing a book right now, and the chapter with my mom is called Exposed, because all the things we went through. And then with my dad, is morals and values. And that recipe was critical to what we needed. I wouldn't basically say I want every kid to go through it, but I definitely think we all need that edge. And my mom brought that edge and that toughness and that mentality of survival and never quit. And, those kind of things, even though it came wrong, at the same time, once I got to my dad and he balanced me out, that balance was needed, So what I would say through my childhood, man, it was definitely tough from that standpoint, from being with my mom. But once I got to my dad for a few years, it kind of balanced me out. I found a passion for the basketball game when I was in probably like fourth grade. I met Master P. Master P was the first team I played with, man. He gave me kind of insight of what life can be if you work hard, or if you.
Man, not to cut you off, but man, shout out to P, bro.
Yeah.
For real, like shout out to Master P. And I have a brief history with P myself from when I was in the league. He was out in LA, and one of my high school teammates, which is his first cousin, put me in contact with P, man. P was, I didn't understand it at the time, and I didn't understand how valuable a guy like P was and is at the time. So, and I wish I can go back and do that over again. Those 2 years of soaking up knowledge and wisdom from him, man. But just seeing where P is at now and the longevity he's had, man, shout out to P.
Yeah, his impact on so many kids' lives, I don't think people really understood it because it was moving so fast, and his stardom took off so fast. Well, I think life was just going. But for our neighborhood, man, his auntie actually worked at Missouri City Middle School, Miss Hogan.
Right, yeah.
And, Donna Hogan and all them. Yeah. So I was actually, a brief story, I was actually in the gym. Master P walked in. He said, man, he was in the wrong gym. The girls' gym was on the other side. And he come in there and he said, man, if you make 3 shots, I'll put you on my team right now. I made 3 shots, man. He walked me over to the gym and gave me full manatis. Nah, he didn't have manatis then, but the P. Millers.
Yeah, the P. Millers.
So, yeah, he put me in the P. Millers, man, the whole outfit, man. Next day at school, I was clean. I looked like little Romeo at the moment. So, but yeah, man. So that kind of helped me a lot, man. And that's called educating through experience, man, for me. And like I say, I was blessed to have everything when I was a child, but at the same time, the things that my mom and others was doing allowed me to have all the blessings up to 3rd grade. Life changed, man. I moved, like I said, we moved back to Fundren and to Missouri City area, man. And once they took my mom's, that was kind of the end of that era for me with my mom's. And that was tough because in our families, we don't get moment where we sit down and they explain the breakup. You know, it was like a divorce, and I've been raised with my brothers my whole life, and all of a sudden, you know, in the third grade, the next day I come home, I remember watching my mom sit in the living room and my brothers and them crying. I didn't understand it. And the next day, man, we dispersed. And just like that, you know, we started a new life. And when I met my dad, obviously some of the things that we learned from my mom kind of conflict with his rules. Right. And I remember he had a hard time breaking us. Like, hey, come in early at night. You know, we were staying out all night, you know. So that moment for me helped me a lot. But it was tough on me, just like I said, the transition. And a lot of Black kids are broken through that process. And we don't get that time, especially young Black men. Nobody sits us down and lets us vent. You know, we more so we grow up being tough and just keep moving. So, but then during that time, man, my dad stayed in Missouri City. So that was the majority of my childhood. From there, I kind of stayed around the area, and I went to Missouri City Middle School. Like I say, where I met Master P and those guys who exposed me to the game of basketball, having me travel across the country. And my passion for basketball grew. And right then and there, man, I ended up seeing a couple guys from Rural Ridge High School, man, putting on for the city. And I knew what I wanted to do after that. And that's you, TJ Ford, all y'all, man, y'all group. I saw y'all around sixth grade, and my brother was planning on going there, man. And from there, you guys inspired me. And y'all, you know, y'all had the city on lock, man, during that time. So I didn't know what high school I was going to, but when I saw y'all, man, I started training just for them moments, man. So Missouri City was my introduction to, you know, becoming who I wanted to be during my childhood, man.
All right, so we gonna hang a hat right there on that
yeah.
on that point, right? Because we got to come back to that. I definitely want to talk about that, but let's go back a little bit about you know, your upbringing. You say your mom went to prison. How old were you when your mom had to go to prison?
I believe I was 7. I was 7 years old. I was in the third grade, and it was like a shuffle. I remember that day at school, my teacher came up, and I don't know if she knew what I was going through, but I think she could tell my behavior started to change, and I felt something was wrong at home, because obviously we went from having everything we wanted to kind of shuffling for things, you know. And once we like I said, we just packed up and left and moved to the South Side again. And I guess, I don't know if we're running from something or what, but it just changed the whole complexion. I remember going, and that was big when the South Side and the North Side was beefing. Right. That's when it meant, you know, the North Side and South Side was beefing. So when we moved to the South, my oldest brother,
it was braids and fades.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't Bloods and Crips. It was like, if you from the North or you from the South, it's going to be a problem. So once we moved from the North Side, my oldest brother was going to Klein and I was going to Ninch, and all those things played. And I remember going to school on a function called A.A. Mill. We used to walk to school every day, man. And man, literally used to have fights every day. It was like, I don't even know if it was racist. I don't remember fighting a Black kid, a Mexican kid, white kid. It was just, they didn't like us at all. And I'm thinking in the third and fourth grade, fifth grade, because Mike was in the fifth and I'm in the third. So I'm like, we can't be fighting over North and South Side beef. You know what I'm saying? These kids can't be mad at us like that. It couldn't be that serious. So I remember us fighting. I remember life just started going downhill, man. And like I said, the day I walked in, my mom's was taken off, man. And that was probably, I didn't find out till later, but it was devastating because that's all I knew. And my older brothers, I think, was able to adapt to a little bit more. But for me, it was like, you know, those are my nurturing stages for a kid. You know, you want to be close to your moms. And on top of that, if two parents are in the house, I'd say it's a little balanced. But it was only one parent in the house, so that's all I knew. And my oldest brother was my stepfather, you know, to a certain extent. So when that happened, man, it was devastating for me.
Right. So, man, yeah, so, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was, man, considering, like you said, you was only in the third grade. You know, you grew up just being with your mom, a single parent. That's all you knew for, you know, for 7 years. And then for things to happen the way they did all of a sudden with no explanation, you know, no reasoning, you know, like I said, no sit down. I mean, that's for any kid, you know, for any child, that's tough. Not understanding, not knowing, you know, not not really having not really having a feel for what's going forward, what's going to happen,
Yep.
what's going to
Yep.
happen, what's going
Yep.
to happen in the
Yep.
future.
It
So
was a lot of confusion. It was a lot of confusion. I had no idea. My mind couldn't even think of what is going on. Like, it's different when you're older and you can put a couple pieces together. But I'm a kid. I'm just living life. And they're not coming and saying, "Hey, this is what we doing. This is what happened." You just enjoying life and going with the flow. And then you wake up one day and everyone's missing. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely probably a critical moment in my life where I think I had to harden my heart to a certain extent, where I had to suppress my emotions without even knowing I'm doing it. It just became my natural instinct, which the more we talk, we get down the line where you can see how that played an impact on things that happened in my future, But like I say, during that time, man, when I look back, I think about my mom's boyfriend having me at the gambling shack. I missed a lot of schools while he was in there gambling, shooting dice. I'm not paying attention to it, but the older I got, I start to see and understand, certain things that happened in my life where I got exposed and I have an understanding of it to more than I need to at the age of 7, So, but yeah, man, that moment is like I said, I'm writing a book, and that moment is that chapter is critical to who I become in my future.
good, man. So I mean, you've already kind of laid it out there. So can you give us the title of the book, or
Oh man,
is
no,
that
I can't.
exclusive? Not yet.
I gotta hold it because you know what? The thing about it is, I'll share something with you. I've had numerous of titles. I've spoke with people that, publicists and things like that. And the more I learn, the more I grow. I actually wrote my book. Um, I'll tell you about that later. But when I was writing it, I didn't have the knowledge of understanding during that time where I was writing it, what I was writing, on how to write a book. I just knew God was building something, and I know He gives his strongest people, tough battles. So in my mind, I'm saying I believe in that, and I know I'm creating something right now. So during the time of writing it, like I said, I didn't have the knowledge, but knowing the world and the demographics and things like that, people don't want to read something depressing, So the title was kind of in sense of leading towards that direction. The couple ones I had. So when I walk in a bookstore, the world right now is looking for help. They're looking for something positive. Something that can build you. You don't want to walk in. You don't want to grab a book that's just basically negative. That's not the world right now. Maybe in a Tupac era, but right now everybody's looking for something positive. It's this era is fun, it's exciting, it's positive, it's self-help book. So I had to change the title for a few times because I'm looking for something. When you're in the bookstore and you're walking, you're wondering because you want to ask the question, what is this book gonna do for the next person? How it's gonna help that person? And sometimes you skip books because the title don't jump out at you. So I took a step back, and now I'm kind of digesting everything of, even the book that I'm writing and the world and what the world is looking for to a certain extent.
Well, no, that's good, man. I like to say congratulations on that. Also, I'm proud of you, man. Like I said, you're doing some.
Yeah.
Your story, your testimony is taking you to some amazing places, man, and that's good to see. Especially knowing more about your story, where you come from, and we come from similar. We come from the same area, right? So, I mean, like we don't have, and so I get it, bro. I get it. Like that you have a major success story. Whether people understand it or not. Like sometimes we look at success and think that it's all about somebody having all the money and all the accolades and recognition, and that's not what success
is based on.
That's not what success is. So man,
the world is based on that, man. That's a good point. And I tell people, especially in our world, we play ball, and sometimes they're determined about financial status. And I'm thankful. I'm grateful for what God has done in my life. But I know sometimes people compare that and make it seem like, okay, the level of talent is decided about the financial status, and at the same time, I try to break them down and make them understand, listen, it's like giving a person $1 million when they're born, and then you you talk to another person where they started was poor and they get $1 million, you know, who's more valuable to a certain extent, you know, his journey of getting it and your journey, you know, it's all about where you start and how much success how much growth you have between where you started until you make it, you know. So circumstances definitely, I feel like, determine that success, you know, on what you've built, on what you've accomplished, on your resume. So,
Right. No, most definitely, man. So, getting back to your upbringing, so to speak. So you went to Missouri City Middle School,
Most City, man.
where you had a chance encounter with Master P, who at the time had an AAU team.
Yeah. I was making them say too. They got to know that was P. They
right. Like, yeah, that was the height of Master P. That was no limit at his height.
Mama Mia and Silk Shaka with Maya in them. You know,
right. That's the whole the big movement of No Limit. So you had that encounter, and then you see these couple of older group of kids in high school, at this high school.
Yeah.
Talk about that transition, man, from middle school to high school, and then also, because you talked about a little bit, talk about the impact, the legacy that our basketball team had on you.
Man, I'll say, for me, middle school, I had no idea the extent of basketball, the level of it. You know, that was me just kind of getting the introduction. I remember playing for Master P, and then it was time to play organized. My dad was real cheap, so it wasn't like, hey, I'm about to pay for an AAU team. Your talent had to speak. And I remember 8th grade, Coach John Urey came and sat in my living room. I had no idea who this guy was. I had no idea he was.
Shout out to Urey, man. Got a shout out.
John Urey, man. Big shout out to him, man. He's like Westbrook, James Harden, and I call them guys, no offense, but they the greatest, worst players. And John Urey was the greatest, worst person in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like because I use them as analogy, because you could be watching James Harden and Westbrook do the most unbelievable things in the same sentence. You can say, it's the worst play ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. And Urey, man, I think for a lot of people doing that ever do, that wave that he caught, that momentum that he caught between him and Hal Pastor, and a few other teams, man, you know, it was on like 8 teams. If you was on any one of those teams, you almost was going to the league. So he came and sat in my living room in 8th grade. I had no idea who this guy was. He talked to my dad, and for me, I didn't know I could play basketball like that. I was a football player my whole life. My family was football players. And I just, like I say, Master P planted that seed in my soul, just like, okay, I like it a little bit, you know? So when Urey came in and kind of opened my eyes up, like, man, you might have a chance. And I knew I was playing, but I hadn't seen you guys yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, when he talked to me, I was like, all right, cool. So I came to the practice, man. I don't know if you guys remember, but I saw all y'all, man. And it was just like, it took my mind to like, I was like, all right, I ain't ready. And I remember seeing that, and that kind of set the tone for me. And then I got into you guys' background, and that's all Urey talked about. Like, he sat in my living room, he talked about you, TJ, you know what I'm saying, all y'all, and that's all he mentioned over and over and over. So I'm like, I gotta go research. I'm thinking these kids, y'all my age, you know, I'm in the 8th grade, and I'm killing in district. And I'm thinking, I'm so oblivious that I'm thinking the district means the world. Like, if you was hooping in your district, I felt I was the best player in Texas. But I didn't even know about AAU to that extent. Like I say, when Master P popped up on me, that summer happened, and I went back to my regular scheduled programming, you know, like just doing what I'm doing. And Urey came, and when I saw that factory of talent, man, and I remember him talking about y'all. So when I saw it with my eyes, he took me to one of the games and watched y'all, man, and I was just, you know, it was just, I didn't even know something like that existed. Y'all existed down the street. And I'm like, hold on, this is in the community, and y'all putting on a show between
around the corner.
Yeah, right? Man. So I'm like, I had never heard of any. I wasn't into basketball. Obviously, social media wasn't going. I didn't watch TV. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, man, when he told me about y'all, and I was like, yo, okay, you know, I've heard people say they're good. And then when I saw y'all, man, it was like, man, it just changed my whole understanding of, man, I got to go train. I got to work out, or back then we just competed a lot. We didn't train much, but I think we was judged more so by wins and how hard we competed. That's how we got ranked back then. And that transition to high school, man, like I say, that moment seeing y'all prep me to go to high school. But the part that hurt me was what I was going through at home between me and my father. So that summer, my 8th grade summer, going to my 9th grade year, I was trying to figure out some things with my dad. With Yuri coming in, he decided, like, hey, listen, my dad wasn't big on sports like that. He was like, I'm not paying for anything. That's not cool. You need to work in order to pay for your school clothes. You know what I'm saying? So my dad was old school, man. And Mike was actually at Rilla Ridge during the time. So he wasn't confident in what Yuri was speaking on. Mike, he was just like, y'all going to Rilla Ridge, you gonna make it. that was my dad ideal of success. He didn't know about AAU and we didn't know much either, but that was his ideal of how we gonna be succeseful. Go to Rilla Ridge because you guys had set the tone there of winning the state championships. Man, just huge congrats to y'all, man. I know that I heard you guys were supposed to get like 3 state championships.
I mean, a lot of people say that, man. I honestly
think you would have won y'all sophomore year.
I don't think so. We was too young, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still hadn't figured it out yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were still competing against each other. Like, we was good, but we wasn't like,
and y'all was sophomores.
Sophomores, man. We was good, but like, knowing what I know and what we went through, like, we needed that. You know what I'm saying? We needed that year to not have that opportunity to come back the way we did the next 2 years.
Question for you though, how was that wave? Like, was it just like, I talked to KT and I talked to TJ, I never really asked you, like, and they all just kind of, y'all all got that laid back, but the city be tripping. Like, it's like, yo, y'all was putting on a show. Like, I felt like they built Hobson because of all the money y'all made.
Look, I was talking to Lanny the other day, Lanny Smith, right? Mm-hmm. Who he played against us. He felt the rivalry. Me
and Lanny had a fight in the game.
Right. So he got to really feel it and see it up close and personal. And he was honest and 100 about it. And he was like, yo, man, what y'all did, you and TJ, man, y'all team, he gave us our flower. He's like, bro, it was phenomenal. I had never experienced or seen anything like that. Mind you, this is a competitor, right? This is an opponent. And so
he's tough too. So
and Lenny was
Hooper. That's coming from a fan and some talent.
Right, El Boogie. They called him El Boogie for a reason, right?
Yeah. So he was tough. He was
he had his own success on the court. But I say that to say this, man. You had to see it to believe it, right? Because we, like you just said, we didn't have social media. We didn't have. They weren't making highlight tapes and all that stuff back then. If we had all that.
Oh my God!
These kids, like, we would like.
God!
Exactly. That's all you can say.
It wouldn't even be legal. Yo, I saw it once, and I was just like, this shouldn't be, bro. Y'all was. Oh my God!
We would have been rock stars, man. Like, we would have been real rock stars. We would have been real rock stars.
Oh yeah, easy $2 million. If this, I'm gonna say this: if Mikey, the kid Mikey that's out right now, and he has a lot of social media success for his followers. Oh man, and these kids are cool. But
right. And
they not even
right.
They just cool.
Everybody, the way we got our recognition was by word of mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, people couldn't see us and
oh my God,
they couldn't stream our games. It was by word of mouth. So people was coming from near and far by word of mouth. Like, man, I heard they got these 2 kids and they got this team out here in Texas and Houston. I gotta go see them play.
Crazy.
That's basically how it was. So we was selling out all the gyms and wherever we was going by word of mouth.
Y'all was crazy. Y'all was crazy. Let me tell you, when I first saw TJ in person, I was at Hunters Glen Elementary. And, they had a little short goal. So, I was always trying to dunk. So this is where I got my rocks off, where I just go to Hunters Glen Elementary. And I saw TJ, and I'm like, oh, man, this is crazy. TJ out there hooping, throwing alleys. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm for sure going to Rilla Ridge. But, it was crazy. Like I say, I think the whole man, the city was y'all was insane, dude. Like y'all was insane. I promise you,
So,
y'all was insane. Y'all
so
was insane. I can't even get it out, but
let's see that. I mean, people got to hear it from more people like you. That you know what I'm saying? Like if we talk about it, of course, like you said, a lot of people say they're good or great.
yeah.
But when it comes from other people, people get a better
Y'all was
understanding
different.
and appreciation for it.
NBA team in high
Yeah, I
school.
mean, I wouldn't say that, but we was definitely like we could compete.
Well, y'all had with your height, every position was perfect.
Yeah.
Like 6'1", 6 feet, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'10". It was perfect. It was like this, and then y'all literally did what the position says. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
it ain't too many teams where your position that you play literally has the maximum talent there. Like every position y'all had maximized the talent. It's not like I was a 2, want to play the 1, so you had to put me there. It was like, oh, that's what you do. You know what I'm saying? And then you know what I'm saying? It was just like, oh, that's what you know, and then KT shooting and Curtis and all y'all, man, it was just like, y'all was a perfect, you know, y'all would have, I remember we talked about LeBron and them one time, and we was just, oh, they didn't want it. They came down to Houston right when y'all left.
Yeah, that's when everything changed. Like I said, that's when we really need to find a way to do a documentary, man, about our team, because that, like, we changed Texas basketball, not just in Houston, not just for, you know what I'm saying, mostly, like, we changed.
Y'all put on a show.
We changed the landscape of how people view Texas basketball, and that's not taking.
It opened up.
Yeah, that's not taking anything away.
It opened up the
from all the
floodgate.
guys in Dallas and all the teams in Dallas, but before our team did what we did,
it opened up the floodgate.
Yeah, people weren't really showing Texas love like that.
It opened up, and there was so much from one team. It was like, that's too much. It wasn't like one guy was hooping. It wasn't a prep school where you're cheating. It wasn't like y'all was reclassifying like a lot of these schools. Y'all was legit, and this is what it was. And just so happened, y'all caught a wave, man. Y'all caught a wave.
That's what it was, man. It was just guys playing, man. Perfect timing, because I wasn't even trying to go to Woodland Ridge, even though I was on there. I wasn't even trying. So it was just guys playing, man, to have that group of guys together. And like you said, we all bought into our roles. Like, I wasn't trying to have the ball. I knew TJ was, you know, the point guard, and he was gonna give it. I wasn't trying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't trying to shoot like Kenny.
And you know, y'all was mature. Like, y'all was a mature
that's
group.
why. But listen, that's why I tell you, our sophomore year we wouldn't have won, because our sophomore year we wasn't mature. We only 15. You know what I'm saying? We only 15, 16 years old. First year on varsity. We was mature, but we wasn't. Like, you know what I'm saying? We was still smelling ourselves and trying to figure out.
I'm not even thinking you 15 and 16.
Right.
And we talking about state.
Right.
So let me say this. So you think you was top 5 in the state?
Oh, for sure.
So you just said you probably would never won, but you top 5.
We was dogs. Now, don't get me. I'm not saying we was dogs, but we wasn't experienced enough.
But you still consider yourself top 3. Like, out of to win state that year, your sophomore year, y'all was top 3.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, we didn't play against. Actually, we did. Was it my sophomore year or junior year? But yeah, I don't think we played a Dallas team, so I don't know the teams out of Dallas. But that year, Milby was one of the team's favorite to go to state. They had Alton and Myron. They had a tough crew. Lewis Trescott, Royce. Like, they team was tough.
Did they win that year?
No, I don't think so. But that's an experienced team. They juniors and seniors. You know what I'm saying? And then Elkins was really good that year, right? So we going back and forth with Elkins in the district. But yeah, man, honestly I don't think we would have won it that year. Like I said, we was just
that's tough.
We didn't have the experience yet.
That was crazy.
We hadn't went through the wars yet, man.
Y'all was crazy, man.
But man, to get back to you,
yeah, man. My bad. I got excited about
this. It's good. It's all good, bro. Like I said, we can talk about that all day. That'll take us
because I never got a chance to hear y'all from that standpoint. You know, I was young and I was coming up, man, and I remember it was pressure when I came into high school, you know what I'm saying, because of y'all. You know, Eddie Rowe and them was Brandon Chazon and those guys was on you guys' bench. So when they got there and Coach Bailey, it was a new coach, and I was going for Coach Courtney and the fascination to see y'all, you know, and my transition over to high school, man, it was interesting. I didn't know where I was going. Like I said, during that time, I was coming into a stage of homelessness. I was sleeping different places.
That's what I wanted you to speak on, man. Your transition, and you know, you going from 8th grade, now you're high school. You have you have this knowledge of what you think is going to be based on the history, the previous history that just left, right? The legacy that just passed through, and you coming more into being a hooper, right? And you go through this period of being homeless. Like, talk a little bit about that, bro.
So it was by choice to a certain extent. I mean, after you realize the facts of you don't have a place, you're still considered homeless, even if it's a choice. So my dad and I just couldn't get on the same page, and I think my two older brothers in the same grade. So when I was in the 9th, they both was in the 11th, and my dad was going through his personal situation, and my brothers was also about to graduate. They was figuring out who they was. They was on the clock. It was coming to an end. And I think with everything my dad was going through and my brothers, my mentor is almost on the same level as my brothers. So he always grouped us. But what he didn't realize, I got an opportunity.
Right.
So when he was missing that, he was grouping us, and my brothers and them was basically, hey, we about to go work some jobs. And I'm like, hey, I know I don't speak a lot. I'm not a person that cry or anything. So I'm not telling my dad, like, hey, I'm going through things. Even though you guys are going through things, I'm going through some things also. And then he removed me from that area once his situation ended. He removed me all the way over in A-Leaf. So I wasn't still in Mo City. So I'm like, hold on now. Like, hey, I still got a chance. I'm playing basketball. And like I say, Coach Yuri also picked me up, and I'm starting to play. So at that moment, I make a decision. My dad's not hearing me, and we had an argument one night. And obviously the words, well, you can leave then. And I made a decision to pack all my things, man. And the decision was made on, I wanted to be great. I wanted an opportunity. And I just saw myself was doing something different than my brothers. And once my mindset clicked that way, man, I was in the streets for probably about a year and a half before my best friend Milton told his grandma that I needed a place to stay. So during that time of trying to figure out my life, and when I left my dad, I was still trying to go to school. I sat out of school for some weeks, just trying to figure it out. I got into a lot of different situations where some negativity, man, just trying to figure things out, probably angry from my situations, and started indulging in maybe drugs and things like that, man. Start selling drugs, and man, it was just a time where I was trying to figure things out, and that was the hardest thing for me. Just trying to basically like a good kid in bad situation.
Man, so BJ, you said like a year and a half you was.
Yeah, I was sleeping on couches. I was using any asset that I could think of, friends, girlfriends, exes. Man, I was pulling from everywhere. And like I say, and I think about my mom's situation, her teaching us how to survive and hustle, and all that part of that recipe. I was still a good kid. I wasn't out there doing disrespectful things, but I was definitely
survive, man.
Yeah, and that was my mindset. And still trying to say go to school, still trying to play basketball, still trying to be a character that I got envisioned in my head. But at the same time, circumstances, sometimes the circumstances bigger than what you can control. And, and like I say, I got it in me, to have a mentality is still kind of try to think of, okay, be great. But I still got DNA on me saying, listen, you got a little gangster in you too, so I would fight that. That would be my conflict of saying, I'm not confused about that lifestyle. I can get into it and nobody would be confused about it. I could accept that world and nobody would be like, well, I'm confused on how that happened. Nobody would be confused. It's just I had to continue to play mind games, still trying to compete in this thing of life instead of just taking a nosedive and saying, listen, I'm all into this world now. So, and that was tough. Like I say, the mental at that age, and like I say, 15 and 16 years old, trying to figure out where you're going to sleep at night and trying to figure out what's your next move and still trying to say, do the right thing somehow at the end of the day, So, like I say, I think John Yuri, I say the gift and the curse, because no matter what, this man was picking me up, I'll be at anybody's house. And I remember one of my teammates seeing me, Tony Hooper, Tony Hooper, and he played on my team. And we was talking when we was in China, and he said, man, I never thought about that you was homeless. I remember Coach Yuri always picking you up from random houses. You know what I'm saying? I was like, and he said, now I get it, you know, but all my teammates were so young, you know, they having regular conversations. I remember basketball, they knew who was ranked and all that. And they don't know I was just up all night. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't even slept, you know? So, and that continued throughout my life. But at the same time, during that time, I'm not telling these people I'm poor. I'm living in houses. I stayed in the car that night. I'm stay at this chick house to pick me up. You know, I'm doing everything to kind of still stay around basketball.
Trying to be normal, man. But
yeah, man, trying to stay normal. You know, clothes still the same. I remember a moment where I was playing basketball, and Coach Bailey, who's our new coach once Coach Courtney left, and I remember he was saying, you got to dress up for the games. And I didn't want to tell him, like, hey, listen, I don't have those clothes. You know what I'm saying? So I was suspended that game. And Miss Jewel, I think it was Miss Jewel, the principal at the time, found out why I was suspended. And she got dug into it. So this is how God works, man. This is part of why my nonprofit is so intriguing, because during that time, she called me down to the front office the next day, and I go in like, oh man, I'm in trouble again. And she has her husband pick me up, and her husband is a doctor. They're very successful, and we go by his house, and they haven't told me what's going on. I'm thinking you want to do a mentoring kind of thing for me, like, hey, I heard about you. But he took me to Men's Warehouse, dude, bought me like 10 outfits, clean. You know, I walk in the next game, you know, I'm sharp. You know what I'm saying? So that spoken volumes to me, man. That really kind of put a whole nother seat in my head for my spiritual life. But during that time, things like that was happening. And I was unfortunate certain moments because of me being poor, you know what I'm saying? So, and being homeless. So it was a challenge, man. It was a challenge to stay focused in that storm, you know. But like I say, Yuri and my coaches, and those became my stepdads, you know what I'm saying, where they pulled me back in. And like I said, my god brother Milton, I couldn't tell you how me and that kid met. I remember playing him once. He went to McCullough, and he just heard and he found out, and he was just like, bro, listen, I'm gonna ask my grandma, can you stay? And that kind of brought me back to Missouri City. You know what I'm saying? They stayed in Ridgemont on Corsair. And from there, I settled down, and I was able to kind of get back into a regular kid. And she was like, as long as you don't do anything out there, you can sleep here. And from there, man, they kind of took me in like I was one of theirs. And it just so happened, man, it was a moment, like I told you at the beginning, I missed that nurturing stage. And with my brothers and my dad, it was so tough. You know, I'm either fighting them or we arguing. It was no like moment for me to really be accepted, because I was the youngest on the totem pole. But when I got there, the dynamics changed. I was like one of the oldest. He had siblings, but his grandma and mom, they all treated me and showed me love, you know, and she was in the kitchen cooking and things like that. So I started having a foundation again, and I was right up the street from the gym. So that was my main goal, you know. That was the reason why I left my dad, because I was just like, you're taking me away from my world. And I've accepted everything. But this moment, I just made a decision like, listen, I'll go test it out on my own, because I feel like I'm failing with you. I can't do no worse by myself, you know. So once that kind of settled down, I had a place to sleep consistently, man, I was able to get back to the game. And what's crazy, my first AAU tournament, I don't know if you remember, you was there. And I was like, I've always been fascinated with you and TJ. But when my first AAU tournament was my first tournament ever for Yuri, and LeBron James was there, you remember? And he was playing against Aaron Brooks. We was in Pearland Classic.
Wow,
that was my first tournament, dude. And I had just came off the streets, and I had just walked in. You didn't know me, but you remember me. But I remember y'all, you know what I'm saying? So you was there, and you was there with Coach K. You don't remember this, huh? And you introduced me to Coach K, dude. That changed my life. Like, I was like, what? This boy's this intro. You was like, and y'all was watching. You don't remember LeBron and Pearland Classic?
No.
Right. Pearland Classic, it was like a huge tournament. He was going at Aaron Brooks. Remember, Aaron Brooks was super short.
I know Aaron Brooks from, yeah.
Yeah, he was going against LeBron, and he was posting, and he was killing. Kendrick Perkins was on his team.
Perk, shout out to Perk.
Yeah, Big Perk was playing. They was playing with the Oakland Soldiers, and that's when everybody was tripping on the radius and everything. But they came down, and you walked in the gym, and you was talking to me, and you was like, you told Coach K, that was my first time ever meeting a coach. So that was my first tournament. I'm like, what? I didn't know who LeBron was. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But y'all just so happened to be there. And then you was at Duke and you introduced me to him. I went home. I was like, bro, I called everybody, say, bro, I met Coach K today, bro. Like, it was crazy. But yeah, that was my first tournament, man. And I saw you there, man. It was, and from there, I never wanted to play football again. Like, I played, but my whole shift was that day. I saw LeBron, I saw you, and I saw Coach K. It was like, what?
Right.
Football don't do this.
All right. So man, you've been through a lot. You 15, 16 years old. You've been through a lot, and you're still a child, man. You're still a kid, right? You've been through a lot. You finally, finally found a way to have some stability, right?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Your very good friend asked his grandma to take you in. They open the house to you. That they open the family to you with open arms. They give you the affection and some love and nurturing, and like you said, some nurturing that you've been desperately needing for a long time.
Just somebody to say you okay.
Right. It's just somebody say it's okay.
Some kind of support. I think it went unnoticed with my dad because me and my other brothers was just kind of in the same lane, So
right, just like when children are raised by their mother, especially young boys, and they're raised by a single mother, right? She could be doing a great job, trying to play both sides, but at the same time, especially a young man, a young boy, they still the mother can't replace that father figure.
Yeah.
And for your situation, it's no different. It's just the opposite.
Yeah.
Father can't replace
that nurturing.
The nurturing of a mother.
And that hurt. And that hurt a lot. And I think I seek that. I started looking for it. Like, man, I'm missing something. I was tough. You know what I'm saying? My dad, his biggest thing with me was like, he has to stop me being, because I had too much courage. And he said, that's going to be your negative because you're too tough. You got too much courage. I got to settle you down. I got to bring you down. And sometimes the strong one don't get that attention because you didn't have to worry about me being soft or scared. I also had older brothers. So, I was sparring every day, you know what I'm saying? So, but when I did find that home, man, that just changed for me. That kind of settled me down, and they accepted me so much, like I was theirs. You know what I'm saying? So, that was a blessing from God, man.
All right, so you're in high school. You go through a period of being homeless. The principal finds out. They set you up real good, right? Get you the clothes you need to participate in, in the coaches, in the coaches. I don't even know what to call it. His preparation before a game, how you should dress.
Right.
You get back on the team, you're able to suit up.
And I think he thought I was just being disobedient.
Right.
Like personality, Right. And Bailey is definitely a Coach Carter. He was raised by Coach Carter. And that damn movie dropped right when we was coming into high school. And I was like, yo, fam, I'm done with these horses because, like, Bailey was crazy with it. But yeah, man, after that, man, like I say, that weight was lifted in a sense. To not think about where you're going to sleep at night is huge, bro. Like,
So what? This is like your freshman and sophomore year, or your sophomore and junior?
When I found a place, it was around like 10th grade.
All right.
My going towards the end of my 10th grade, and I was going to my junior year, and I was finally coming to a point where I can just play basketball.
So let's talk about that, man. So now you say you had the experience of being at the AAU tournament, meeting Coach K, seeing some really good players, and it inspired you to be like, all right, this is what I really want.
I got a chance.
This is I want to be a basketball player, right? I want to have a chance to go play, at the college level.
Right.
The next 2 years in high school, how was that for you?
Amazing. My stock grew. Obviously, my first 2 years with Yuri, I had to sit back and watch. And like you say, Lanny Smith, he was ahead of me. And I sit back and watch. And these kids don't know how much you can absorb just from watching the game. Right. And I grew each year just from the practices, just from the struggles, just from the battles. And Yuri putting the pressure on me, So my junior year, dude, from every aspect of the game. From we lost against Milby, Jawan McCullen in high school to go to state.
J Mac.
So I had a,
J
yeah,
Mac.
yeah, man, they was tough. So I had a crazy year my junior year. And it just brought me out that year. And like I say, I had since 8th grade, I had been playing with Yuri 19 and 18, 17 and under. I never saw another team. I didn't play freshman. I didn't play sophomore. My freshman year in high school, coach put me on varsity in basketball and at Rilla Ridge. So I had been playing up my whole career. So about time these kids caught up to the 11th grade and all those, I was mentally ready. I was at a stage where you're going to have to show me, you're going to have to be top 25 in this country to really beat me. I just wasn't a skill set kid. I never trained. I didn't have that kind of time for that, but I would compete. And if you put somebody in front of me, he going to have a big heart because I'm coming at him. And I never stop. And like I say, with Yuri being on the sideline, Yuri, he's saying, go at him. You know what I'm saying? And Yuri put us in some big time tournaments. I've played against LeBron. I've played against the OJ Mayos, the Sebastian Telfairs during the time when they was those guys, So, and like I said, I had a great point guard ahead of me with Lanny Smith. And I watched you guys religiously. So I had prepped myself mentally. My body skill set hadn't caught up yet, but I was ready. And my junior year just took off. I went to, like I said, we lost before state. And then that summer came and it was my turn. My coach Coach Yuri actually ended up having a decline that year because his situation with Nelson. I think he went to Reebok, took Gerald Green and all those guys who was playing with us, Marcus Thornton and all these guys was rocking with us. So that year happened, it opened up for me to be the guy. And, if you the guy for Yuri, you the guy. You ride in the front seat. That year.
Definitely ride in the front seat.
Hey, you ride in the front seat and you get about 3 extra spicy chickens. You know what I'm saying? He gonna take you to McDonald's, bro. So, yeah, man, I was the dude that year, and he gave me the keys to the car, man. And I was kind of like in the D'Antoni system where the point guards don't fail. You know what I'm saying? So, I went to Vegas. Like I said, with that being said, I think I was D3, D2 at the moment from high school, and that was just off the year I had in high school, and then. When my stock changed, man, we played Rotary Select in Vegas, and we played Terrence Williams, Marcus Williams, and a couple other people. They was like number 2 in the country at the moment. They was deep, and we win a game, and we walking out the door, and Rotary Select sitting there like, oh, we play y'all. They start talking noise, and I'm trying to go by. I'm not really hearing it, but Yuri, Yuri don't care if you're 6 years old. Oh my! He started going crazy. We gonna whoop y'all. So he started going crazy right in front of him. So we get to the hotel room, and that night, Coach Yuri called me, and he said, "This your moment." Yuri screaming. He said, "It's about you tomorrow." So I go there, man. I promise you, I've never been so mentally ready ever, dude. I go in the game, and when that game starts, all the top coaches are lined up in the gym, not to see me or anybody, but to see the top players on the Rotary Select.
Right.
Rick Barnes, Calhoun, all these coaches behind. He cursing Rick Barnes out, saying, "Yeah, your state, you ain't recruiting." So he going through that stage. And dude, I promise you, God was so on time, dude. Like he knew right when to do things. And that day, dude, I had like 45 against Rotary Select. I put on the best performance in my life. When I remember Coach Bailey calling me and said, "Man, I don't know what you did in Vegas, but the letters are rolling and the calls are rolling in." And when I flew back in, dude, I got to the school for a workout. I had coaches lined up, dude, and it changed. I never thought, first of all, my dream was never go to college. It was just I'm doing stuff, and I hadn't honed in on it. But for it to come reality, it was insane. Like, it was insane. It was insane for what I've been through and all that, man. It was just like, are you really going to college? And Yuri, he felt like he was the catalyst and everything. I told you, like I told you, I said you gave me one play all year, pick and roll. Yeah, ain't nothing else we did, bro. So but that day, man, changed my life forever, man. Gave me an opportunity to play at the next level. I took a few visits and I went to a college called University of San Diego. I had never been to California. In San Diego, I've been to LA, but not San Diego. And when I went there, man, it was like a piece of heaven. And 60 minutes, I played with the team for an hour. And from then I knew they could use my service. And I remember this guy telling me, "Man, go where they love you." and I took a trip to A&M, Georgetown, Illinois, and Mississippi State. And
Ooh,
yeah,
man, that's tough. I was gonna ask you, like, what was your other visits? What was
yeah,
your
man.
other?
I had some crazy school. A&M had 5 of us. Remember David Deverson? He was
Yeah,
tough. He was tough. So he was like my nemesis, like my kryptonite. And then they had B.J. Holmes, Donald Sloan. B.J. Holmes was signed, and Donald Sloan was going to be there. A.C. Law was there. It was like they was just going to get us together and compete.
Yeah. Okay, so I see why you didn't go to A&M.
Right.
Yeah.
Illinois, they had they just came off some crazy basketball with Darren Williams, D. Brown, and all these guys. So Luther Head. So all these guys was there. It was an amazing trip, too cold for me. Right. So boom, I'm like, I can't do it out there. And then Mississippi State, it was cool. Mississippi State was like my 4th choice. But I was unsure. I actually, when we get to college, I actually that resurfaced when I was going to transfer after my sophomore year. They were still interested, but Mississippi State was cool. It just I didn't love it. And then Georgetown, that was more so. I was a fan of Iverson. You know what I'm saying? So obviously that happened, but they was guard heavy. And I wanted to be a true freshman. And like I say, I played 60 minutes with San Diego. And the energy was great, man. California life is just different. You know what I'm saying? So
way different.
Yeah. And I went there, dude, and it was just the right timing for me. Less than an hour I signed. And they was like, oh, and they thought they did something crazy, amazing. I'm like, nah, I'm really, I'm a street dude. So ain't no finesse in me. I kind of got an idea. But I enjoyed it, man. It was beautiful, and I saw myself excelling there in less than, a few months, So right then and there, I remember me and my dad had to speak again because he had to sign the papers.
Right.
So that was an awkward moment for me. But I know my dad, I don't think my dad had intentions for me. And what his mindset, I don't think he thought I was going to exceed to another level beyond getting out of high school and working like my brothers. And I think that day when he said, and I remember him trying to hold a conversation like, you sure? I'm like, dude, if you don't sign these papers, like, hey, we not about to do this TV thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, sign the papers. And from there, man, I had an opportunity to play at University of San Diego. And I was excited. Only problem was I didn't have scores on file. So I took the test, I took the SAT on my birthday, dude. And man, I remember going to Yuri class. He was working at the school for a little bit. And I go to Yuri class. He's like, you check your scores? I'm like, nah, not yet. So I go online. I check my scores, dude. I remember seeing like a 1250. And I don't even know what it means,
Right.
I remember my god brother studying for the test. I didn't study at all. I just took the test. And all God, bro. I walked in there. We took it at Elkins. And I was like, I was born to take this test. It's my birthday today. I'm loud in the class. I was like, I was born to take this. It was a Saturday morning. And I passed, bro. And from there, man, life changed, dude. I remember walking around the school like, I'm different. Like, I was the only one. Bro, I was the only one signed high D1. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody else around there signed to any school. Our era wasn't the same like y'all. Like, y'all was talented to the point where it was like everybody was getting scholarships. For us, it was only me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was it.
The talent level had kind of dropped off. So
it got talent dropped and it got smaller. Y'all was huge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, just our whole class. All the guys in Houston at that time was getting D1
big, dude. It was like that. It was like that. And when I became a senior, I actually was giving up football because I had signed. And I remember Coach Bailey, Coach Carter was making me do all this running, bro. And I was just like, oh, no, this is what off-season consists of. And they just so happened to lose to Madison. And Madison was throwing over the top. I played cornerback. And I had like a lot of schools. My coach in them was mad when I signed because I had so many schools for football. Like I was like, I set records at cornerback in football at Really Ridge. Like,
see, that's new for me. I didn't even know you played football.
Yeah, that was my first sport. I'm telling you, like when I saw y'all after that LeBron thing, I didn't want. And then let me tell you another reason why I chose basketball. I was poor, and basketball is giving you mad gear. You go to that garage and you get done. So that was even more like, man, I can't wear no cleats to school, So and then, you had a velour suit. When you had the velour suit on, you knew you was somebody. So
yeah, right.
Not the Mignotis, the Adidas. Yeah. So when you had that velour suit on, boys knew like, oh, you hoop. Yeah. There's only a couple teams, like I say, you didn't have your dad mad at the coach, so you just buy a team back then. It was like you got 8, 10 teams that all 10 players, whoever checking in, is going to the league or going major D1, so it was tougher back then. So when you made a team back then, it meant something. The value of going to college, it meant something. The opportunity to play on ESPN, it meant something. I think now it's so everybody gets to do it, so the value of it is a little bit different now. But back then, dude, it was respected. Even the movie showed if when that black kid went to college, everybody was going crazy on the movie. Now it's just whatever, but not whatever, but it's just I feel like everybody got way more opportunity to go do it.
Definitely. I mean, kids have way more opportunities nowadays.
Yeah, be exposed.
Which is good. I mean, it gives a lot of kids, more opportunities to, to try to fulfill the dream of going to college and receiving a scholarship. But the AAU circuit is way too saturated. It's way oversaturated.
You can just create anything.
Yeah, and anybody has a team, and it's a lot of bad basketball and a lot of bad teams because of that. You have some really talented players, but then you have a lot of bad basketball and bad players because.
And then another thing, the ability to. Because when we went to school, it was like, you stand there. it was like, you're not trained. And now these kids have the ability to do what they want. And the fact is, we're just more business savvy in this new era. So we know we don't have to stay here. I'm going to transfer. I'm going to reclassify. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to create a way to be successful. Back then, your parents didn't know much. Like my dad was like, nah, you staying at this school. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like.
That's a good point too, Brandon, that you made, that the fact that kids they understand the value of their worth more, right?
Yeah.
They understand that's one thing this generation definitely does understand more than the older generations, past generations.
Yeah, they're way more business savvy.
Right. Also too though, I think that older generations were way more mentally tough.
Yeah. But we had to be because the value of our ability to be successful, the not value, but the window for success for us was so limited. We had to take, just like if you look at the Michael Jordan documentary, Scottie Pippen had to take that because the window for success to make that much, it's like, man, let me just do this, because it was just different. Now kids in the NBA, no, I don't want to do that because you're still getting a exceptional amount of money just off not doing anything. So back then we was just like, man, just to go to college, oh my God, it was just the most fascinating thing ever because the window of getting there was so slim, dude. So now I think that's what made us tougher because we had to play a certain way, so tough because we was playing for, you don't hear kids really fighting to go feed their families. The mom and dad is more successful now these days.
Right.
Back then it was like, man, my people poor. If I don't do this, life is bad. So now it's just like, oh, my people good. I'm gonna play though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the pressures are different from back then and now, dude. Like it meant everything to go feed your mama. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like, no, mama good. We all right because the opportunity is more. But like I said, for me, man, during that time when that happened, to bring it back to the school, man, I got my SAT score and I didn't know what it meant. Yuri was like, you can get in every school. I take off my shirt, I run through the hallway, the principal see me. So I'm seeing you suspend you. I'm going to college. She go crazy with me. So that was an amazing moment for me, man. And that kind of changed my journey from there, man. I had no idea I was going to college, but when it happened, the new chapter was beginning, man. My life, I could leave that struggle behind because I had an expiration date on my struggle. It was like June 3rd, my life gonna change. You know what I'm saying? So, and I went about it like that. I remember doing more work in the gyms and things like that, man. So, to get that weight off my shoulders, to know there's something after high school, and a lot of people don't sign until late. And I know a lot of kids go through that. So to sign my junior year and get that off me, and I had no idea what my experience was going to be. But I was just like, hey, I go to college soon. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely a relief, man.